Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics, and I'm here again with Tim Canova, law professor in Southern Florida, who is primarying Debbie Wasserman Schultz in Congress. The race is a week away, and we just had a sit down, but I wanted to get you back, so I appreciate you speaking to me. Since we talked in person, I've been seeing reports as well as you posting on social media some disturbing accounts of either voters being straight up misinformed about whether they should be voting or not, hearing your signs being pulled down, all sorts of things. So I wanted to get it straight from you. What's going on in terms of suppression tactics, and what is the message you want to get out?
Well, for about the last 3 days now, we've been receiving numerous reports of folks who have been getting telephone calls, receiving telephone calls telling them not to vote on August 30th, that they shouldn't be voting in this August primary, they should be voting in November. And there have also been reports of unmarked white vans that are going around the district picking up our signs and removing them. We've posted on social media. We're urging anyone who sees any of this, take out your cell phone cameras, take videotape, take photographs. We need to know who's behind it. It could be, of course, it's possible it's the Wasserman Schultz campaign directly. My guess is it's more likely to be the work of one of her super PACs to give them some degree of deniability, I suppose. But we would like to find out who's behind it, and we don't see any reason to wait until after the election. We're blowing the whistle now.
Mm. And I actually was talking to someone yesterday who said some seniors have actually been told not to vote in this election, which was confusing to me because much of her base are seniors. So why would they be telling their own base not to show up? Have you heard anything about seniors being told not to vote?
Well, yes, and I'll say this, that we've been posting a lot of our events on social media. We have a very active Facebook page. So when we are in a neighborhood and we are meeting with folks, we have lots of photographs up of our meetings. And it's clear that the Wasserman Schultz camp has been watching our social media and reacting accordingly. Just last week, there was one restaurant where we had a great event. That restaurant had never heard from the Wasserman Schultz camp in 12 years, and suddenly they get a phone call asking if they will rent it out to the Wasserman Schultz campaign for a party. These folks felt intimidated under the circumstances and declined the invitation or the request. But that was a real tip-off that they are going through our social media. They're monitoring us. They were monitoring us when she was with the DNC, which was the basis of our complaint to the Federal Election Commission, that she had been using DNC resources to monitor our campaign. So they've obviously seen us meeting with senior citizen groups that are very friendly to us. There are plenty of photographs of us, of me giving talks in front of senior groups, of seniors who are enthusiastic and hugging me. We're obviously making inroads into her base, and that has them very alarmed.
And I also want to get into, the Florida media is writing a lot about the TV ad war between you and the Congresswoman. I see she is really stressing the fact that you've gotten so much money out of Florida, as if these are boogeymen, flooding the state for you. Obviously, no mention of where she gets her money. Again, she's going hard that most of your support comes from out of Florida.
Right.
On TV, I think one of her ads is "You and Me." It's called "You and I." What's your response to that?
Well, I'll tell you, most people in Florida, they have loved ones in other states. They've got friends, they've got relatives, they've moved around the country. A big percentage of Floridians come here from New York and the Northeast. And they know that I'm receiving money from ordinary folks like them and like their friends from around the country. Most people here don't own a corporation. They're not a CEO of a major, multinational corporation. That's where her money's coming from. Her money's coming from outside the state, but hers is coming in enormous contributions. Mine are coming in $17 contributions. So, but the media reports a lot of what she says as if it's gospel. There was a report yesterday in the Sun Sentinel, or I think maybe today, by Tony Mann of the Sun Sentinel about our latest two TV ads. And they just repeat Wasserman Schultz's defense verbatim. They quote her, and they never really do any fact checking. So she gets away with saying, well, Canova's lying. Of course, I've been sponsoring legislation to expand Social Security. I guess the press release we sent out 2 weeks ago just means nothing. The press release was factually based. It showed that all of these bills that Wasserman Schultz has co-sponsored, she's done so in the last 4 to 6 weeks. So it takes a primary challenge to get her to do her job. And it was the same with her defense of her voting record. You could go online to GovTrack. It's right there. She's got the worst voting record, the highest absentee rate of anyone in Florida's entire congressional delegation. But she just essentially lies, and they quote her lies. She's saying she has a great voting record, and they never fact check it. Right. So this is what we're up against. You know, an establishment media that's not committed to reporting the truth, reporting facts, and the establishment has been closing ranks in these final few weeks. It's very alarming. At the same time, we are surging. We're surging in the polls. We're surging on the ground.
And you know, candidates don't like saying if they're having money problems. I don't think you're having money problems, but let's be real. She's had Nancy Pelosi come down, Joe Biden. I'm hearing whispers, possibly Bill Clinton. She's been raising a lot of money in the home stretch. Do you feel like you're on a level playing field, at least in this last week, to compete?
Well, you know, in the last few months, we've outraised her, but it's deceptive because that doesn't include her PACs and her super PACs. When you add that in, we are outgunned. There's no doubt about that. I think we're still well positioned to win this, and it's because we made wise investments in a field operation, a ground game early. But it is troubling that for every ad we have on TV, she's got about 20 on TV now. Mm-hmm. For every direct mail piece we send out, she sends out multiple pieces. She sent out 7 pieces in 2 days, which could backfire. I think people get their mailboxes flooded with this garbage and they throw it out. But you're absolutely right. She's really brought in the outsiders. It's funny, she accuses me of taking outside money from ordinary folks, but she brings in, all of the Washington insiders from around the country, powerful people to stand behind. She stands behind them, tries to get protection from them, so to speak. She's afraid to debate any further. She had this one and she's done, an early morning Sunday debate that very few people probably got to see live. And she's been skipping candidates forums right and left and declining invitations to debate on media invitations such as Spanish language and African American radio and TV, who have been inviting both of us to appear. So Lee Weems, the head of the Florida African American Women's Caucus, referred to Wasserman Schultz as the coward from Broward. She doesn't want to defend her record, and it's disappointing to see. And then the super PACs. The latest news is that she's gotten Donald Sussman, this hedge fund manager. He heads the Paloma Partners hedge fund, which is an offshore Virgin Islands-based hedge fund that has put $100 million into energy and fossil fuels. And he's given more than $250,000, from what we understand, to the Patriot Majority super PAC, Wasserman Schultz's super PAC, that has been taking out almost $1 million in media buys now against us. So we are out.
And people should know he donated heavily to Hillary Clinton as well.
He did indeed. And it explains, why she can't give a straight answer when it comes to her position on fracking. She's tied to these interests, whether it's big sugar or the fracking industry, which are so harmful to the environment and the ecosystem and really the quality of the drinking water for generations to come here in South Florida. Right. So we are outgunned, and we are, of course, while we're raising money, the needs when you have a week left in a campaign, they become tremendous.
Right. And lastly, before I ask you, I'll just give my take. Nobody's really talked about it publicly, but the bottom line is Bernie Sanders, has endorsed many progressive candidates like you. Obviously, he ran a spirited and long campaign. Since the DNC, he's been kind of quiet. He has plans this week to do a live webcast to his supporters, kind of as a preview to his new organization. He's establishing a progressive organization called Our Revolution. So benefit of the doubt to Senator Sanders. There might still possibly, maybe he's waiting for a last hour surprise to come down and campaign for you. But the bottom line is, down the home stretch, if I'm being real, he's kind of, left you without swimming without a paddle. You're one of the highest profile Bernie-crats. And frankly, I think, and many progressives think, he needs to be down there with you. There's different theories on why he hasn't come down to campaign with you. But needless to say, in a close race, I don't really buy you're down by 10 points based on only 400 people polled. I think Senator Sanders, who right now is polling at 80% in that area, might be able to put you over the top. So I think you should be down there. Have you had any conversations? And what's your take on the fact that the highest profile progressive isn't down there for what I think is the most high profile progressive race in the country?
Well, frankly, it is a bit disappointing. I had never sought Senator Sanders' endorsement. It came out of the blue, and I certainly welcomed it, and it gave a boost to our campaign. At the time of the convention in Philadelphia, he certainly raised expectations. He had several interviews in which he talked about campaigning for 100 down-ballot races, and at least in a couple of those interviews, mine was the only name that he mentioned. It was wonderful to see at the time, but of course we weren't the only ones seeing those interviews. So were the Debbie Wasserman Schultz camp and her super PACs. I think he raised a lot of expectations, which I think encouraged a lot of the super PAC money to quickly start flowing here to help Wasserman Schultz. And it galvanized the establishment. It motivated them to mobilize to defend Wasserman Schultz. And we got a string of folks coming down here, from Hillary Clinton to Nancy Pelosi to perhaps Bill Clinton is next. Whereas, of course, we have nobody coming here to campaign for us. That said, I still like our chances. That poll that you mentioned was done by the Wasserman Schultz camp. It has a 5% margin of error. Showed her ahead by 10 points, but when you look at it closely, it polls only 400 people, and they're super voters. They're the ones likeliest to vote in a primary election. We've spent months expanding the field, and there are a lot of folks now who don't normally vote in off-year primaries in August who suddenly are, and the early votes that have been cast through vote by mail and early voting sites are showing that there's a surge in new voters. Or I should say, unlikely voters who have been registered Democrat, and they usually vote in presidential elections. So we're really of the mind that this is a dead heat. We need all the help we can get. Look, when Bernie endorsed me, he called me up, gave me his number, and said, stay in touch and please call. And I have, and I'm waiting for Bernie to return my call, and not just Bernie, a couple of people very high up in his camp. It's a little confusing. We read the reports too, and not quite sure why he's backed off. It might be pressure from the Clinton camp. It might be that he's put his faith and trust in some folks around him who have been negotiating with the Clinton camp, and for some reason thought that ours was a race to sacrifice, which I think is very disconcerting. I mean, this is ground zero for the revolution that he's been calling for. I'm grateful for the fundraising emails he's done for us. It has raised money. Of course, his support has also raised money for Wasserman Schultz as a result. Like I said, the super PACs mobilizing against me. While he has done some fundraising emails, all I can say is it's been 8 months where I've been putting it all on the line. And contributing to his campaign for much of the past year, and speaking up for him. And really, I was inspired to run against Wasserman Schultz to help protect Bernie's flank in the presidential primary. When I saw what the DNC was doing to the Sanders campaign last December and cutting off the access to the VAN database, the voter database, I thought, well, a primary challenge against her will give them pause to be playing a lot of dirty tricks in the future. It probably was not effective in that regard. Wasserman Schultz and the DNC continued to put their thumbs on the scale. But certainly that was a lot of my motivation to be part of this revolution, part of this progressive movement, this progressive surge. I certainly want to see this through to the end. to win this election, to be an ally of Bernie Sanders and other progressives in Congress, and to make sure whoever's elected president has to really answer to the progressive heart and soul of the Democratic Party. So, we are hoping that the Sanders campaign does still come through, that Bernie comes through and makes an appearance for us, or at the very least helps us raise some more money during such a critical period down the home stretch. And that is our hope.
And people can reach you at timcanova.com.
Yes, if folks go to timcanova.com, now is a very important time to donate what they can. Certainly, in addition to donating, there's a phone banking link on the top of that page. Phone calls into the district are helping raise our name recognition. I am still very enthusiastic about our chances of winning this, but it's going to require everybody to row together and pull together at this moment. There's no time to waste. Votes are being cast every day now in this district, with early voting sites that are open and coming to a conclusion on Tuesday, August 30th. So we need all the help we can get. We need folks to share on social media, to call into the district if they're around here in South Florida, or if they want to come to South Florida, to lend their support, to come knocking door to door and to be canvassing sites. If we win this, it really sends a loud and clear message that the movement is alive and well, and that we're going to keep building on the gains from the past year.
Great. Thanks for taking the time again, Tim, and good luck down the stretch.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it.